Hey everybody, my name is Mike Price. I am the Director of People and Culture with Open North America, but I do a few more things within regards to the platform. Been helping build Open from the very beginning. And what I wanted to do today is introduce you to somebody who was very early with Open in Australia and has experienced some incredible success with it. His name is Will Ainsworth. Somebody I've known from the very beginning of this, and super happy to have him with me here today. So, Will, if you could take an opportunity to introduce yourself and how you met Open and the experiences that you had at the very beginning, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat with you. So, yeah, Will Ainsworth is my name. I've been in real estate for about 17 years, kind of all I've known in my professional life. I've traditionally used auction as a way of selling real estate, but basically use private sale or private treaty or auction, depending on the client and the type of interest with the property. Back in 2018, I was at a real estate conference and looking around all the stalls, and I saw the word transparency pop up on one of the stalls, and it happened to say the word open above it with two N's, which also piqued my interest. But I walked over to the stall, and everything I've ever done in real estate has revolved around transparency and telling people what they need to know. And so that's kind of why it piqued my interest. And I had a chat to the guy at the stall, and he explained the process and the fact that it's kind of using technology to create transparency in the transaction. And straight away, that made me really excited to be able to go out into my marketplace and use a platform that nobody else was using, but also to ensure that the buyers and the sellers and myself were all kind of on the same page with how the transaction was taking place. And that essentially allowed me to build trust with both buyers and sellers and create a real point of difference in my market.
That's fantastic. So, talk to me about some of the initial, when you went back to the market after you learned what you learned there. Talk to me about some of the hesitancy you might have run into in the marketplace and how you were able to overcome it and how that worked within your market afterwards.
Yeah, so it was challenging. There's no doubt about it. It was a matter of me putting myself out there and saying, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to transact real estate. So I suppose in life, if you want to find reasons to succeed or find reasons to not succeed, you'll find both. And I'm just a believer of just going, you know what? Yes, there's going to be some hesitation. Yes, there's going to be challenges ahead, but I'm going to overcome those and push ahead regardless. And that's what I've always done in real estate, was always try and be a bit of a front runner and add things to my toolkit that others don't to create a point of difference, and Open with that. So no doubt about it, buyers and sellers both had hesitations around it. But when I explained it as succinctly as I could, which was a matter of saying to buyers, would you like to guess what you need to pay, or would you like to know to the dollar what you need to pay?
Yeah.
And straight away, the answer is pretty obvious. You never get anyone saying, I'd like to guess. So to me, that then straight away disarms the buyer. And I said, well, with this process, you won't need to guess. You'll know exactly what you need to pay. And then straight away, you could see some buy-in from those buyers. And then you can then talk to them about how to get on the platform. And you can't talk about the platform until you have the buyer in your hand understanding what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with the seller. So as I said earlier, I usually do an auction, and some sellers are not interested in doing auctions. They're too stressful. There's just too much anxiety involved in that. So this to me was a bit of a hybrid of auction and private treaty, and took the best of both of those methods and put them into a platform that allows technology to have us all understanding exactly how the process is running at any given moment.
So I guess you would say transparency is the most important value proposition of what you ran into with Open.
Absolutely. I don't know about your market, Mike, but in my market, agents or realtors tend to say, we've got other offers. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you just have to put your best offer in. And I often put myself in the buyer's shoes and say, would I stretch? Would I pay as much as I possibly can, knowing that that's the way I have to go and put in an offer? The answer is probably no, because as we all know, buyers have a massive fear of overpaying. And if they don't know what they need to pay, they'll usually go in conservatively with their best offer, or they'll base it on facts, and that is recent sales. I want to remove the buyer from thinking about analytics and recent sales and put them into a mindset of competition, social proof, missing out. All of those things in my mind make a buyer pay more, or allow a buyer to pay more than they would otherwise.
Yeah, so it comes down to the real time opportunities with regards to, I mean, a property's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it at a real time proposition. So when it comes to that, so you know, if you had to look at stats, would you, when you're looking the average days on market for a property that doesn't use open versus one that does, I mean, do you have some real time statistics that could tell you that open, achieves significantly lower days on market?
Yeah, well, I've been using this for 4 or 5 years now, Mike. So, and I've used it in different markets. So I can tell you, in a hot market, it absolutely brought my days down on market. Generally speaking, I couldn't keep them on the market for long enough.
Right.
So for me, it's a matter of making sure I've had all the buyers in the marketplace through the property to be able to give my vendor confidence that we've got the best out of the market and we've found all the buyers. But I'm in a market at the moment that's quite flat. About 65 days is the average days on market. Using open, mine's around 15.
Wow, that's a significant difference. And I think that's the importance of this. But I mean, there are other things with regards to the platform outside of transparency. Talk about efficiency. Talk about the efficiency of the transaction flow and how that's helped you with regards to being the kind of professional that you want to be with somebody. Because I really think that's one of the things that we don't talk about as much with regards to open and the overall efficiency of affecting point A to point B to closing.
Yeah, well, as we know, technology is designed to, I suppose, give you time back, and open is a great example of that. I mean, with the process now, it's a matter of sending a text message to everybody with a link to get involved. I mean, how easy can that be? Or a QR code at your open home to say, if you want to get involved and not miss out on this property, just scan the QR code and you're in. To me, it is such an easy process. And I think agents, I don't know why, but they validate themselves by making things look harder than they actually are. They draw out processes or they take a long time. For me, it's, we're all used to now lightning quick things. Uber has made things so much faster than it ever has been. People expect things in real time and they don't want to wait. So for me, if I can give people the ability to make a decision and get involved in a transaction there and then, that shows that I'm the ultimate professional. It builds trust with the buyers, and it also gives me time back because I don't have to do anything after the open home. All I need to now do is negotiate with all the buyers on the platform, and I don't need to contact any of the buyers other than the one I'm speaking to because the platform does the communication for us. So if I get someone
that's fantastic.
Offer,
yeah, and that's how we're presenting it in the market here. It's an agent to agent communication tool. I think you just nailed it exactly there. So, okay, I think that rounds everything out really well, except one other thing. I mean, how do you use it in your listing presentations when you go? But what do you take? What do you take from the overall success that you've had with Open, and how do you use that platform in listing presentations going forward? Because I think that's probably the one thing that that agents can really take from this platform and realize it's a manage of taking all those successes and building up there. So we know you gain market share, everything. How do you use it as a listing presentation tool?
So it starts, I think, with the previous listing that you have. So I'm always an advocate of telling stories about previous sales or current sales. So every time I have a property sell in a particular area, I'll invite everyone that I know, buyers, sellers, neighbours, to actually follow and watch the transaction taking place in real time. And that gives the potential seller a feeling of, imagine if that was my property. Imagine that agent just got 20, 50, 100,000 more than what they expected. Imagine if that was me. So I put I allow the future seller to feel the emotion of what the current seller is feeling. And then I just explain it to them how it works. So I just say to them, if when you bought your property here, Mike, you paid 600,000 for it. If you knew that someone else was prepared to pay 605, would you have paid more? Yeah, I would have. Would you have paid 610? I would have. And why didn't you? Well, I
I
wasn't
didn't
asked
know.
to, or I didn't need to. Okay. So my job is to actually create a situation where you do need to. And that is by finding other buyers and putting them on the platform to create the competition for you, Mike, to pay more than you would otherwise. So that's my job, is to do that. Do you want me to get you the most money in this current market, or do you want me just to sell it for you?
Exactly. That's where the observer tool becomes super important. So I imagine the number of observers you have going from one transaction to another has increased exponentially. Um,
Absolutely. It's like a
yeah,
Mexican wave. We just bring them all from one to the next to the next. And whoever's in a position where they're going to sell their property, they're the people that we target to become our reservists. And we show them what it's going to be like from their point of view. And it's almost like when we sit down at the kitchen table, do you want to experience that, or would you like to sell using another method? Oh no, I want to experience that. Okay, great. Oh, but Will, I've got a couple of other agents I'm meeting with. No problem at all. And guess what? The other agents don't bring up open because they don't know how it works, or they're fearful of change. And then that's my USP, my point of difference,
yeah,
is that and if the vendor or the seller wants to use another method of sale, that's okay. I use that as well. I don't use open for every single transaction. I use it for most, but some sellers simply want to use the traditional method. And guess what? If that doesn't work, I then convert it to open anyway.
yeah. How often do you have somebody say, "Hey, tell me about that open thing"? I imagine you
All the
probably hear that
time,
quite a time, don't you? Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
That's
And that's why the
fantastic.
videos that Open have created are so great, because I've got them in a link on my phone, and I just text them and say, hey, watch this, and then we can chat about it more.
Absolutely. That's fantastic, Will. So if you had to wrap up your thoughts about open and how it's going to impact you going forward with regards to your real estate career, what would you have to say about
Well, for
it?
me, real estate, it's a cliche, but it's a lifestyle for me. So I want to sell houses and sell them efficiently for as much as possible, but I also want to live a life outside of real estate. And that's what it brought to me, was the efficiencies, the days on market coming down, and the ability to use one transaction to then get another seller on board have all allowed me to buy time back. So I prospect in real time, meaning I use one sale in order to get another sale. But the efficiencies behind the technology allow me to have time back. I've been known to sell properties from my bedroom or my study at home using Open. It's unbelievable. You can sell anywhere, anytime. And it just allows me to basically live life on my terms and sell real estate, but also have a life outside of it, which is what I'm all about.
That's fantastic, Will. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you've been part of Open from the very beginning, but it's so awesome to have an opportunity to talk to you about this. And if I can point other people to you to discuss this, I would love to be able to do that moving forward. But I think this is going to be a fantastic way for us to introduce this platform into North America and talk about the transparency, efficiency, equality that we have coming up down the pipe. So
Absolutely. And if I can just say, if you're thinking about using it, just give it a go. That's the best that you can do, is just give it a go, but don't try and find reasons why it doesn't work. Find reasons why it does and persist. Because I guarantee you, any realtor that's watching this, if they sold their first home and it didn't go that well, did they decide that real estate wasn't for them? No, they pushed through, and then sale number two, sale number three, they bit by bit got better and better and better to now the real estate professional that they are. Open's the same. You get better and better and better at it. You're going to fumble your way through the first few, but to me, that's about learning and getting the heart rate up and enjoying real estate for what it is. and enjoying the process. And you can't go wrong by showing transparency. You will never, ever have a buyer or a seller look at you and say, you did the wrong thing, or I would have paid more, because transparency is king.
It is. And that's why we get up and do what we do over here in North America. Why I joined the team in the first place. I've been at this for 25 years. And that's why one of the things that I asked you about was how would you use this in your next listing presentation? Because it really comes down to that. You're only as good as the last transaction that you did. And to be able to use the whole storytelling aspect of it and build a listing presentation and take it to that next person is really where things work. And that's how people achieve the kind of market share that you're able to achieve doing what you're doing. So it's fantastic.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Will. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.